Thank you for purchasing the Advanced Storage Products Pushback System. To help you work safely with the Advanced Pushback System, please direct your attention to the following operation procedures. For complete safety instructions, refer to the safety manual supplied with your system. Fork truck operators should be properly OSHA trained and certified. Before loading the system, check the quality of your pallets. If using a standard low pro pushback system, your pallet should have 5 left to right bottom boards in good condition and properly fastened. There should not be any overhang from a pallet, which could cause the cart to hang up, such as improperly stacked boxes, slip sheets, carton flaps, or loose shrink wrap. Advanced does offer a full support pushback system that will work with almost any type of pallet, but some may require taller pallet stops and a slightly different loading procedure. Using pallets and systems for which the system was not designed could be dangerous. If unsure if your pallets match with the system, check with Advanced. Note these 2 different pallet types. One has no bottom boards and one is made out of plastic. These pallets can only be used with our full support pushback. Check to make sure your load is banded or shrink wrapped prior to loading the system. This will help to secure the load to the pallet to minimize the potential for shifting of your product when loading and unloading the system. Next, slightly lift up the forks and pick the pallet up 3 to 4 inches above the top cart. This puts the pallet in line with the upward slope of the pushback system. Load the pallet into the system carefully, placing the pallet on the first cart until it contacts the rear vertical support. While setting the pallet down, center the pallet on the cart and line it up to the front angle. This process will help the system to flow more effectively and will give the pallet the most support to minimize the stress on the bottom boards. If the cart has serrated skid stops or lance skid stops, the bottom board of the pallet should rest on those stops. If the pallet is placed behind the serrated skid stop, the next pallet may catch on the stop when inserted. Remove the forks from the pallet slowly. Do not tilt the forks forward. The system slopes uphill, and this action may damage the pallet or the pushback system. If you fail to center the load on the cart, the pallets may catch the product on the lane next to it during the loading operation. In this demonstration, one pallet was offset toward the right-hand side. As the next pallet is loaded, the pallet on the right catches the load on the left, causing the system to stop flowing properly. If this happens, simply remove the misplaced pallet load, center it on the cart, and continue your loading process. When placing additional pallets into the system, raise them to a position about 4 inches above the cart so that it pushes back the previous pallet until the cart below is exposed. Set the pallet down, again centering the load and aligning the pallet to the front angle or the serrated or lance skid stops, as was done with the first pallet. When loading the final pallet, be careful to place the pallet on the front load beam and rails. If you load behind the beam and on the rails only, pick up the load and pull it forward until it lines up with the front load beam. If you don't pull the load forward, the pallet won't be fully supported underneath, and the bottom boards may crack. If the system has beam pallet stops, make sure the pallet is just behind the stops. When loading, push only one cart back at a time. Watch how the fork truck driver pushes more than one cart back. This will cause the latching spring to release from too much pressure. If you accidentally push back more than one cart back, pull the pallet out and let the latching springs reset. Then, reload the pallet into the pushback system. Latching springs are used to keep the cart stationary until they are fully loaded with product. When loading the system, make sure you load only one pallet per cart. In this demonstration, the first pallet load is placed too far back on the top cart. The next load is placed on the front lip of the top cart, and then on part of the next lower cart. If this happens, remove the load that is overlapped and pull the top pallet forward, aligning it to the front of the cart, and continue your loading process. More than one pallet on the cart can cause pallet damage, and may cause the system to fail. It could also cause loose boxes to be jarred from the pallet and fall. When unloading the pushback, pick the pallet up about 4 inches above the cart and slowly pull out of the system, controlling the speed of the remaining pallet loads. Be sure to watch the rear of the forklift as to not run into obstructions. The appropriate speed to remove a pallet from the system is never faster than the speed of the remaining pallets flowing down the system. This is critical. If you do not control the speed of the load, your pallet may slip forward into the aisle. Should a pallet slide forward on a cart due to improper unloading of the system, it is important to immediately lift that misplaced load and place it properly on the cart. When removing the front pallet, if the next pallet does not immediately flow forward, lightly bump the hung-up pallet with the pallet being removed. This should free the pallet and allow it to flow forward. If the rear pallet does not index forward, replace the front pallet to hold it in place and follow the pallet unsticking procedure. If using the pushback in a picking operation, please make sure you have pallet stops attached to the front beam or welded to the rail frame prior to operating the pushback. The weight of the full pallets can push on the lighter front pallet, causing it to slide into the aisle toward the order picker. Shown are some types of pallet and skid stops offered by Advance. In all cases, Advance must be notified by the customer when they plan to case pick product from a pushback system. Other applications with unique safety requirements include use in freezers where beam pallet stops are required. For additional safety instructions and warnings regarding picking operations or use of the pushback system in freezer applications, please contact Advance. If at any time during your use of Advance's pushback, a pallet hangs up in the system, please follow these important safety tips. At no time enter the actual lane to free up a stuck pallet. If you unload the pushback and note that the remaining loads are not flowing forward, please reset the load you were pulling out, leaving the fork truck as a brace. Look underneath the system to see if something fell into the track and blocked the wheel of a cart. If this is the case, very carefully clear the obstruction from the system. If this does not free up the pallet, if for instance the hang-up is caused by a broken pallet, empty the pushback next to the hung-up system. Use a man lift and follow its safety instructions to enter into the adjacent lane. Put empty pallets on the pushback to create a solid platform. Advance always recommends, and federal and state safety codes require, the use of a body harness when working in the racking system. Please follow the instructions supplied with your fall protection equipment and tether only to either the load beams or the vertical upright post. Do not tether to the upright bracing, as these may not be sufficient to support a person. Leaving the fork truck as a brace in front of the hung-up lane, work from the empty lane to transfer the load onto the good pallet. Carefully remove the broken pallet out of the system and the remaining carts will roll forward. Advance's engineering team designed the Advance pushback to be easy and safe to operate. If you have any questions on how to safely operate your new pushback system, or you would like to obtain any of our free instruction pamphlets, please feel free to call us at 1-714-902-9000.